Hey everybody, good morning. It's not even 8 a.m. here in Greece. I wanted to make a quick video. As you know, the other day, if you see my video, I basically managed to repurpose my freelance career and launch an agency website, as well as my own personal portfolio, and also a pricing page where somebody can actually buy the services. And as you can see here in my example, all of those three pages have the similar aesthetic. And I managed to do this by using AI tools. In my case, I used Manus AI to build this, but I'm not sure if it's the best possible way or if it's the most cost efficient way. So I was experimenting with some other tools. As you can see, again, we have a very unique and cohesive branding and style, and I achieved that with Manus. So I was looking at other options that we might have in order to achieve a similar effect, where you can basically build your foundation and refine the style and basically finalize the brand aesthetic that you want to follow and the design system that you will be using. And then AI does a great job at basically being like, okay, now you know what the brand aesthetic is. So now let's create something else that is still relevant to the brand. In my case, it was my portfolio and the pricing page. In my example, I will basically show you how to use OpenRouter, which is basically, I would say, a platform that allows you to connect with AI models using your own personal API keys. And that allows you to have a better cost management, and it also allows you to have access to a ton of models. In our example, I will be using the newest GPT-5 codex. I just started using it and it's actually pretty great generating UI. Another option that I would definitely use would be Anthropic Claude Sonnet 4. I had a lot of success using it, and it's one of the models that I use in my AI code editors as well a lot. So I prepared the prompt that we can use. In our example, I'm aiming for a more defined style, something that's less minimal, but still follows a brand aesthetic that a modern 2025 SaaS brand would use, basically. This is more of a minimal Vercel style aesthetic that I personally enjoy, but in our example, we will go for something bigger. Before we go to the example, I also ran a couple of tests before, and I want to show you how well it managed this. So in this example, oh no, that's funny. That's the wrong example actually. Let me see. Is this the one? Yes. So here we are. As you can see here, I was experimenting with the SaaS landing page that has an elevated minimal dark aesthetic that is inspired by linear, Vercel, or a modern B2B software brand. And then I added a couple of basic branding elements related to color, primary background, secondary, tertiary, primary text, secondary text. Basically a very simple color scheme that the AI can utilize. And basically then we go to typography, some layout principles, and then some specification about the components, how the buttons want to look. This is basically a prompt that I generated after a couple of tries with the LEMS. It works pretty well for me, at least for now. Some aesthetic principles as well. Embrace negative space, use typography as the primary design element. Don't use gradients, create depth without layering. Some stuff that AI usually loves to do, like gradients and shit. So this prompt generated this exact landing page without any refinements, just one prompt. From an aesthetic standpoint, it's super clean. It has a visual language. There's nothing that's confusing about the language. In terms of the landing page, I mean, it's pretty awesome that you have actual models that basically showcase some demo, and all of that is done with just one prompt. But it kind of feels heavy, but this is not the point of the video. The point is to basically use this aesthetic that is already very defined in this landing page and basically see how well we can create another page with it. So in the same OpenRouter chat, after it was done with the initial landing page, I went ahead and I said, okay, using the exact same elevated minimal dark aesthetic, please create an About Us page now. So I added the same exact elements, a content structure basically of how I want the about page to look. And I asked to maintain the sophisticated premium feel that we have. And the generation was actually very, very spot on. As you can see, this is the about page. For example, here are the buttons. The aesthetic looks very similar. There are some responsiveness issues, as you can see, but that's expected. Here we have some sort of more broken elements, but the overall identity is very much the same. Let's go back to the other website. It looks the same. Probably something that is not the same are button designs and stuff like that. So this is basically the best possible way that I found so far, either that or with Manus, to have a, let's say, 85% consistency. In my head, I would probably download both of the code bases, put them into an AI code editor, and then be like, okay, let's refine the branding for those pages. They are the same brand. Let's use one unified button system. So you see how much time you are saving. Basically, you are now having two complete projects that are 80% there, and you are just refining things. So let's go back to our fresh example to showcase a workflow. In our case, I'm gonna basically create a clean, modern 2025 inspired SaaS product. So the prompt that I prepared is the following: create a sophisticated landing page for Vortex, which is an intelligent process automation platform. And we want to use the clean, modern 2025 SaaS aesthetic. So here's the color system that I'm going to use. As you can see, we now have a light theme. We have a pure white background. The typography is very modern. As before, layout principles, component specifications, visual elements for 2025. This is basically after some sort of very simple research with an LLM. I was like, just check out the best, I don't know, 50 SaaS products out there, see how their website looks, gather some like very basic branding info that we can use. Content structure, this is whatever you want it to look like. In our case, it's just dummy, basic SaaS landing page. And some aesthetic principles as well. Embrace generous white space, use typography, create subtle depth, not heavy shadows, maintain perfect alignment, perfect spacing, and generate a complete production-ready landing page. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be using GPT-5 codecs. We are inside OpenRouter. It's very easy to sign up for OpenRouter. You're just then adding your building info, and you're ready to go. You can browse models. You can just start chatting as any other LLM. And the cool thing is that you just have access to many, many models that you can experiment with. So it's way less restricted. Let's hit create artifact and give it a couple of seconds to generate the result here. And we'll be back to review. So here is our first generation using GPT-5 codecs. As you can see, when it comes to the actual brand aesthetic and design system, everything is pretty much laid out. We have defined cards, defined elements, defined text hierarchy, defined buttons, correct hover over states, and generally a layout that is very modern and cohesive. There are inconsistencies when it comes to certain sections, like those cards, responsiveness issues. You can say that here in the hero, this graphic is kind of weird. But in our example, the goal is to basically refine the design system, which is there. You can easily refine this. You can easily refine this area as well. To be honest, we can go ahead and aim for a version 1.2, let's say, where I can just refine the footer, for example, these cards, and I can come back and basically show you how you can then use your established style and build something else that's related to the brand. So let's go from top to bottom and just point out a few things that we can refine. First of all, instead of using a weird ellipse and a green circle for our monogram slash icon logo, just use a simple icon for now. Solid color. There's no need for all this effects. Number two, on the hero section, please simplify the real-time graphic that you generated on the right side. Here is basically placeholders in order for somebody to add actual partner logos. Looks great. The hover effect is nice. I wouldn't change that. This looks good as well so far. I love the bullet point style. This also looks nice. I'm not sure how responsive it becomes. Let me see. It's kind of laggy for some reason. Oh, it doesn't let me go further. Okay, we can test it out afterwards. We should definitely fix this point. So let's say, come on, dude. Relax. Nice. Number 3, on the customer outcomes section, please refine the card design and the avatar icons so that they become more elegant and responsive. And the pricing section looks amazing, to be honest. Yeah, I wouldn't change it for now. Maybe this looks weird. For some reason, the button is different, but I wouldn't pay attention to that now. Let's go for a number 4. Please refine the footer for a more elegant and simplified version that still adheres to our design system. Let's give it a couple of seconds. Let's see how the refinement is going to go. And after that, we will basically use the same chat and ask GPT Codex to create some sort of another page that we want to build for our brand. I like using OpenRouter in this case because the good thing about it, as you see in this example, in this example, you have one chat where you can start researching about the aesthetic that you want. You can start discussing about the landing page copy or whatever strategy that you want to follow for building your brand or refining your brand identity. And then whenever you hit on something like generate a landing page, then you have a separate, smaller chat, a smaller like environment where AI generates UI, but then you can always go back to the main chat and start chatting about the project that you just built. So it gives you more freedom and a larger, I guess, context window, because AI understands that, okay, now this is a new project, but I have the context of what branding I need to use. If you basically approach this logic to something like Lovable, for example, you don't really have the freedom to create a totally new code base that doesn't interact at the moment with the main one, so it doesn't cause like bloating and huge lines of code. With this approach, or with something like Manus, where you have agents that can definitely separate projects, we can achieve this level of cohesiveness. So this is why I'm using OpenRouter in this case. I'm sure there will be other tools similar to OpenRouter that can achieve that, but I've just been using it for a while now. So the refinement, did it actually happen? What's going on? It said it's a success, but nothing changed. Maybe there was some sort of network error. I'm not very sure. Let's go back again. Yeah, there probably was some sort of a network error. So I'm gonna click again. I'll give it a couple of seconds and I'll be back to see why nothing happened. That's kind of weird. Awesome. The refinement definitely worked now. I believe that me switching tabs definitely messed with the generation of the UI and the loading states. So yeah, whenever you have some sort of heavy lifting from OpenRouter, I suggest you stick on the same tab. So the refinement went well because the header is now way cleaner. I like that. This graphic will probably never be right because it's a dummy project. So without giving AI some sort of guidance, it will probably do its best to simplify it, but it will look shitty. So you can understand that if it's an actual project, you can take some time and refine the hero section to whatever you like. The good thing is that the footer has been fixed as well, which I love. And these were also fixed in a very nice way. It looks kind of janky still, but the avatars look fucking sick. So we will go with that. Now, for the next part, since we actually have a design system laid out and it looks clean. I will just go back to the main chat. And as I mentioned before, you see that this is basically its own environment. And I can go ahead and click on landing page again, which basically means create some sort of website. And I'm now going to use my second prompt. In my case, I can probably, let's say we want to build some sort of a dedicated features page for this product. So I prepared a prompt that basically says the following. Using the exact same clean modern 2025 aesthetic, which is how we labeled our aesthetic. In our case, maybe your research can lead to a brutalist black and white theme, for example. So create a detailed features page with a perfect visual consistency. Preserve these exact elements. So we are basically repeating ourselves. And the hero content structure is the following: powerful automation features, create a 6-feature grid, add all of those features, some deep dives, automation capabilities, get started CTAs, advanced features. So basically, the goal is to emphasize the workflow optimization here, highlight time-saving benefits. You basically add anything that you want to highlight in your actual project or branding. The key here is to basically mention the style that you decided to work with, and basically using your initial prompt, paste some certain specifications and elements that you believe can help AI keep the consistency clear. So without further ado, I will just hit on create artifact. And as you can see, now generates a new environment, not the same as before. That's why it's cool to use OpenRouter for this specific use case. So let's open it up, give it a few seconds, and let's see if it actually looks similar to the initial landing page for the brand that we just crafted. So the features that Codex, GPT-5 Codex generated, as you can see, I had one error that I instantly fixed with AI. It had to do with some missing components and some issues with some names here. I think it wasn't connected properly. Some components weren't called properly, but now it's fixed. And as you can see, I'm actually impressed by how nice it looks. It has the exact same aesthetic as the previous website. I would actually argue that this is an even elevated aesthetic than the previous one. I can see some inconsistencies. It's kind of a very bloated page, but as you can see, it's been handled super well. You even have some cool carousel style effects here, very clean cards that showcase data related to the product, CTAs, download assets. I feel like it's a very, very, very nice first generation that somebody can easily use with a code editor and basically refine it further and make those two projects look identical. Let's go back to the first one just to show you the similarities. As you can see, the color palette is similar, actually the same color palette actually. The way that the components are being structured is very similar. Again, I feel like stuff like buttons or things like bullet points or how icons are displayed are kind of different in this area. Yeah, for example, the buttons are way more rounded. But other than that, yeah, the bullet points are kind of different. Maybe these labels are better than the other one. So as you can see, you have the exact same design system expressed in slightly different ways. So you can easily just download this code base and basically open it up to your Visual Studio Code, your Windsurf, your Cursor, whatever you're using, and basically connect those two websites and just start unifying the theme by taking what's best from the one generation and combining with the other. In this example, probably I would be like, let's use something that's more close to the features page with those buttons, and let's apply it to the whole code base once you connect the two. So I feel like this workflow is very simple. You can literally just use one chat to do research with a ton of models available. You can then unify and specify which is the brand identity and style that you want to follow. And then you use your favorite coding model to start building the landing page or any other page in a unified style that you then have like minimal work to do in terms of refinement. So this is what I wanted to showcase to you. This is the method that I basically used with Manus in my case to build those 3 websites to be super cohesive. Again, I also used code editors here to do refinements, but it was basically an 85, 80% there from the jump. So yeah, this is what I wanted to showcase to you. Right now, I actually launched my design agency officially. So you can go ahead and browse studiodruski.com and take a look of what I do and who I am. You can also sign up to AI Design Club for free, which is a school community that I run. A lot of cool designers and engineers are actually joining. And I'm going to be having some live streams as well, where I'm probably going to be building some apps with a few community members. So I would love to see you join this community. I will drop some links below. And yeah, without further ado, see you in the next one.